On March 9, 2026, in a Michigan Circuit courtroom, Judge West presides over the sentencing hearing for Crystal Julian. The defendant faces sentencing on multiple charges, including a violation of court rules under Clause 25 BCR 1393 with a history of revoked felony probation. What begins as a routine sentencing takes an unexpected turn when the judge orders immediate drug testing, a decision that will reshape the entire proceeding and raise critical questions about judicial discretion and defendant rights at this pivotal stage.
The next court date.
Yes.
All right, you're free to go. Aaron Roberts. Crystal Julian, Mr. Lewis, it's a sentencing. Are you Crystal Julian? And based on some of the information in the pre-sentence report, I want to have Ms. Julian tested also before we go forward with sentencing. Ms. Julian, have a seat in the jury box. We're gonna have a drug test. All right, let's see, Mr. Lewis, you've got Crystal Julian. Y'all just wait just a second. Let me take, well, yeah, come on up. When did you use meth?
I haven't used meth. I've been around people. I've been using it. I stay with a girl. She's pregnant, and I struggle repeatedly.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
You're typically not gonna test positive just for being in the same area.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay,
Mhm.
if you're that close to somebody using it, then you know better.
Yes.
And there's already an issue because you're here for a sentencing in clause number 25 DCCR 1393.
Mhm.
And you've already have been on probations, felony probations that have been revoked. And in addition, you deny that you even knew what was going on the day. And so you denied the offense. And so for those reasons at this time, based on, I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to not accept the plea agreement, but what I am going to do is I'm going to raise your bond in your case today,
Mhm.
and I'm going to raise it to $50,000.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll reset the case 2 weeks for sentencing. I'm
Yes.
not going to sentence someone if I think they're under the influence.
Yes, ma'am.
We've already got, I feel like maybe not. Can they do a substance abuse evaluation in custody?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
How long would that take?
We can get it done this week. Should be able to get it done this week.
All right, so I'll reset the case 2 weeks. We'll get a substance abuse evaluation taken care of, and then if there's any recommendations based on that, then we will get that taken care of.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you make that $50,000 bond,
Mhm.
a condition of it is that you have to wear a drug patch
Yes,
at
ma'am.
all times.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't care who you're around, what you're doing. If it
Yes, ma'am.
tests positive, I'm going to have to assume that it's because you're using.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you're living somewhere where people are using methamphetamine,
Mhm.
you ought to not be.
Judge West halted Crystal Julian's sentencing after reviewing her pre-sentence report, ordering immediate drug testing that revealed methamphetamine use. Rather than proceed with sentencing, the judge raised her bond to $50,000, imposed drug patch monitoring, and delayed sentencing for 2 weeks pending a substance abuse evaluation. Under Michigan Court Rule 6.425, sentencing courts possess broad discretion to order presentence investigations and may consider any relevant information about the defendant's character and conduct. The rule specifically permits courts to continue sentencing hearings when additional information is needed to craft an appropriate disposition. Additionally, Michigan Compiled Laws Section 771.3 grants judges authority to set bond conditions during the pendency of criminal proceedings, including mandatory drug testing and monitoring devices to ensure court appearance and protect public safety. Judge West exercised his discretion under MCR 6.425 by pausing the sentencing when the pre-sentence report raised concerns about Julian's substance use. The judge's decision to raise bond and impose drug patch monitoring draws directly from MCL 771.3, which allows conditions tailored to the defendant's specific risks here. Her history of revoked felony probation and apparent ongoing drug exposure. The judge explicitly tied his actions to her prior violations and her denial of the underlying offense, demonstrating how courts use these procedural tools to address compliance concerns before finalizing punishment. This exchange illustrates how sentencing is not merely a ceremonial conclusion, but an active judicial checkpoint where courts can reassess defendant readiness for community-based sanctions. The judge's refusal to sentence someone, potentially under the influence, reflects a broader principle. Courts have both the power and obligation to ensure defendants can meaningfully participate in their own sentencing and that imposed conditions have a realistic chance of success. For viewers, this demonstrates how procedural safeguards at sentencing can ultimately determine whether a defendant receives rehabilitation-oriented probation or incarceration.
Live in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Go back with the bailiff. Good morning. It is a Monday. I agree with the current with the earlier defendant. It's a Monday. He was right. I shouldn't have given him such a hard time for that excuse. Maybe we will blame him.
It's also the beginning of daylight savings.
It's all the things.
What did you say, Joe? Daylight savings time, he's Friday or 13th. Oh, and, so, yeah, something else, I use that food action.
Oh, this week's Friday the 13th?
Oh, no, almost.
We had a full moon last week. We have another one already?
It's daylight savings time, whenever you got married.
Stop. No, can I vote no? All right.
Following the resolution of Julian's case, Judge West engages in brief colloquy with court staff about the date Monday, March 9, 2026, the beginning of daylight saving time, and superstitiously notes the upcoming Friday the 13th. While seemingly trivial, this exchange occurs during the public proceeding and touches on the court's administrative function under Michigan Court Rule 8.117, which requires accurate record-keeping of all court proceedings, including dates and times. The judge's acknowledgement of daylight saving time has practical legal significance. Under MCR 1108, court deadlines and time computations exclude the day of the event that triggers the period and include the last day of the period unless it falls on a weekend or legal holiday, making precise timekeeping essential for calculating Julian's 2-week continuance and bond conditions. The judge's verification of the date ensures proper calculation of the 14-day sentencing reset and establishes the effective date for Julian's $50,000 bond and drug patch monitoring conditions. Had the court failed to account for daylight saving time or miscounted the days, Julian's appearance date or the duration of her monitoring obligations could be challenged as procedurally defective. This mundane exchange thus safeguards the enforceability of the court's orders. This moment reveals how even informal courtroom dialogue serves critical administrative functions that protect due process. Accurate time computation prevents defendants from being held in violation of conditions based on clerical errors and ensures that courts can enforce their orders without procedural vulnerability. For legal observers, it demonstrates that judicial efficiency depends on meticulous attention to seemingly minor details that could otherwise invalidate significant restrictions on liberty. Crystal Julian's sentencing hearing concluded without a sentence being imposed. Judge West raised her bond to $50,000 cash or surety, ordered continuous drug patch monitoring as a condition of any release, and continued the case for 14 days to allow for an in-custody substance abuse evaluation. The judge indicated he would review any treatment recommendations before proceeding with sentencing, reserving decision on whether to accept any existing plea agreement pending Julian's compliance with these interim conditions. This case exemplifies the principle that sentencing is not a fixed endpoint, but a dynamic process where judicial discretion serves multiple purposes: ensuring defendant fitness to proceed, verifying the accuracy of information before the court, and tailoring conditions that maximize the likelihood of rehabilitation. Judge West's decision to pause rather than proceed reflects the reality that courts increasingly view sentencing as an opportunity to intervene in cycles of addiction and recidivism, provided defendants demonstrate readiness to engage with treatment. The legal system permits and sometimes requires judges to use procedural delays as tools for behavioral accountability, transforming what could have been a routine punishment into a structured opportunity for change. Yet this discretion carries weight. For defendants unable to make bond, the 2-week delay becomes pre-sentence incarceration. For those with resources, it becomes a bridge to services. The case thus illuminates how procedural choices at sentencing can diverge dramatically in practical impact, even when applied through neutral legal standards. Consider how this case might have unfolded differently if Julian had tested negative, or if she had been unable to post the increased bond. What balance should courts strike between ensuring defendant sobriety and avoiding punitive pre-sentence detention? Share your perspective on when judicial discretion becomes judicial overreach and whether drug testing at sentencing serves justice or simply delays it.